A few months ago, a friend and I had a conversation about books. He asked me if I'd read A Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter Miller. I said no. As I record this, I still haven't managed to get a copy. But my search for the book exposed me to the large and living world of science fiction literature. In my search, I learned about the most prestigious literary award in science fiction, the Hugo Award, given to the best sci-fi or fantasy work produced in the previous year. It's named after Hugo Gernsback, one of the fathers of the sci-fi genre. And in case you're curious, Alfred Bester's The Demolished Man won the first Hugo Award back in 1953. My interest in sci-fi came at the perfect time. We were entering December 2023. This meant I would have more time than usual to get lost in a compelling story. I went to a second-hand bookstore and walked directly to the sci-fi and fantasy section. While I stared at the titles, many names passed through my mind. Miller, Foundation, The Three-Body Problem, Leviathan Wakes, and many more. Oddly, the book I found was none of these. Instead, it was Hyperion by Dan Simmons. I'd never heard of it, but something on the back cover caught my eye. It had won a Hugo Award in 1990. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 good reasons why you should read Hyperion. Please don't worry about spoilers. I won't reveal any major points, but tell you only enough to pique your interest. Hyperion has so many layers, it's difficult to know where to start. So let's begin with Geoffrey Chaucer. He was an English poet and author who died in the year 1400, 79 years after Dante. Chaucer wrote one of the great literary works of all time, the Canterbury Tales. In it, 31 pilgrims travel together on a journey from London to Canterbury. Their destination is St. Becket's shrine. On the journey, they each share their story, and so we get to know the characters. Hyperion adopts this approach. There are 7 pilgrims. Their destination is the planet Hyperion, and each pilgrim shares their story on the way. Their destination isn't the shrine of a saint, though. Instead, it's something far more mysterious and horrifying. The first reason you should read Hyperion is the characters feel alive. Sometimes when watching a movie, something terrible happens to a character, but then we as viewers find it difficult to care. This is usually because the character wasn't developed enough, or we didn't get to spend enough time with them. The character still feels like a stranger, and as a consequence their impression on us still feels hollow. In Hyperion, it's the opposite. As each pilgrim shares their story, you begin to understand why they need to get to Hyperion. You understand their motivations, and you want them to succeed. While it may take only 90 minutes to watch a movie, reading a full book can take weeks. This means that the concepts and ideas we read about have ample time to reverberate through our thinking. Even when not reading, we speculate about outcomes and try to piece things together. Because of this, by the time you reach the end of each pilgrim's story, the character occupies a much grander space in your mind. When that same character now makes a comment during a conversation, their words feel loaded. Their name carries an entire personality filled with compelling motivations. When you read Hyperion, the characters will feel alive. I've heard it said that some video game worlds feel so real that we sense the world is still running along even when we switch it off. So too, these characters feel as if they must be real, out there in the universe, and yet, at the same time, contained within the story. The second reason you should read Hyperion is it appeals to various types of readers. Each pilgrim has a unique background. Each of their stories feel like a novella within the novel. The pilgrims are the Catholic priest Leonard Hoyt, the soldier Fedman Cassard, the poet Martin Silenus, the Templar Het Mastine, the scholar Saul Weintraub and his infant daughter Rachel, the private detective Braun Lamia, and the consul. When reading the detective's tale, you feel as if you're reading a murder mystery. Father Hoyt's tale is completely different. It's more like sci-fi horror. I'll talk more about it when we get to reason 4. The soldier's tale gives the impression of an action romance film. The poet's tale seems to be written by a poet from the future. Then there is the scholar, whose story will have you calling your parents. What's amazing is that it feels as if a different author wrote almost every story. Of course, they all have something in common. something which has placed them on this pilgrimage, something for you to discover. Even if you don't like sci-fi, Hyperion is a wonderful starting point. It explores several genres and does them well. There is really something for everyone in this novel. Hey guys, I want to take a quick moment to say that there's no sponsor for this video, but I would like to ask you for a favor. If you want to help my channel grow at no cost to you, then please click subscribe. The more the channel grows, the more time I can dedicate to creating new videos and exploring even more of these topics with you guys. Thanks so much for your patience. Let's get back to the video. The third reason you should read Hyperion is that the narrative is jaw-dropping. Each pilgrim has interesting tales, but the real meat of the story is the larger narrative connecting their stories. It's the grip that held me and kept me coming back for more. As they share their backgrounds, you're aware of the larger journey, and whether they're traveling by ship or spending the evening in a bar, with each page you can sense the overwhelming dread and mystery surrounding their final destination. As the tale unfolds, the story reveals just enough to keep you interested without ever losing its control and letting the cat completely out of the bag. You will have questions you want answered, and you will savor every bit of information you are given. What is the Shrike, and what does it want? What do all the pilgrims' tales have in common? What is the cruciform? I could go on. Dan Simmons is masterful in his attention to detail. He uses the up-close and personal as a bridge to help you understand the abstract and the incredible. The fourth reason you should read Hyperion is so that you can experience the priest's tale. If you were only going to read one of the pilgrim's tales, I would recommend the priest's tale 10 times out of 10. While searching for an almost mythical group of people known as the Bakura, a Catholic priest discovers a horrifying secret. Once he finds them, he realizes that there are always exactly 70 of them. He cannot identify any children, and he cannot distinguish the males from the females. They seem to have no rhyme or reason. The tale feels like a mix of sci-fi, horror, adventure, and on-the-ground journalism. I've never read anything quite like it, and whatever you think the outcome is going to be, I can almost guarantee that the final explanation is far stranger and even more satisfying. I must add, I'm not sure if Dan Simmons, the author, is Catholic or was raised so, because he writes Father Dieu so well. His actions, thoughts, prayers, and wishes all felt so real and sincere. It felt as if I was reading the actual diary of a priest caught in a horrific situation on a planet very far away. You should read Hyperion, even if just to experience this story. You are not ready for it, but you will be grateful you weren't. The fifth reason you should read Hyperion is that it's a surprisingly easy read. Despite its reputation, sci-fi is not always complicated or difficult to understand. Hyperion often surprised me with how smoothly it read. Dan Simmons is a remarkably gifted writer. His writing is descriptive without being overly dense. He gives attention and time to develop his characters, and his ideas are so unique and strange that he leaves you wondering if you've ever really used your imagination before. Hyperion will feel both strange and familiar. The world drips off the page and has you thinking in new ways about what it means to be human. You'll find yourself pondering existential questions while being entertained by the richness of the storytelling. And it's for all these reasons that you should absolutely read it. Hey guys, you've made it all the way to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Have you read Hyperion? Do you plan to read it? Do you have any book recommendations? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope this video was entertaining and piqued your interest enough so that you might consider reading it. Trust me, it really is worth it. On that note, thank you so much for watching. I'm Dylan, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.